There are words that once heard can awaken an entire lifetime. And today, our story begins with a simple reminder, gentle, yet sharp enough to shine into the deepest corner of the human heart. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. This isn't just a saying about money or material things. It's a mirror reflecting what we truly pursue. Because a person's treasure isn't always something they hold in their hands. It can be a longing, a fear, a dream, or a secret they hide within their heart. In the rush of modern life, it's easy for our hearts to drift toward things that were never meant to define us. And then someday we look back and wonder, what have I traded away? When did I begin to drift from who I really am? Today's story follows the journey of an ordinary man. Ordinary on the outside, yet carrying more desires and silent gaps within his heart than he ever admitted. And when a mysterious object enters his life, it tests everything: his friendships, his trust, his courage, and the values he holds dear. This is a story that touches something each of us carries inside. Where are we placing our hearts? Long ago, in a vast land where valleys curved like the gentle smile of Mother Earth and mountains rose as if reaching for the sky, there lay a small village called Greenhill. It was such a peaceful place that one could hear the leaves shift whenever the wind slipped through them. The people lived simply, honestly, and none of them could imagine that one day their fate would be swept into an adventure far beyond anything they had ever dreamed of. In that village lived Elden, a middle-aged craftsman, slightly chubby, kind-hearted, and loved by everyone for his gentle spirit. Elden was not strong like the warriors of old tales, nor was he quick like the young, but he had something special. He always believed in the goodness within people, even when the world didn't always prove him right. One day, while cleaning the old attic left behind by his father, Elden discovered a small wooden box locked with a faded brass clasp. When he opened it, he found a tiny round metal object, shimmering under the light, carved with intricate symbols like the winding grains of time. He didn't know what it was, but the moment he touched it, Elden felt a strange current run across his palm, as if the object had a soul of its own, whispering softly to him. From that day on, everything seemed different. The little object sparked his curiosity, then slowly became something he thought about during every spare moment. He hid it carefully, only to take it out again, admire it, and hide it once more. Elden didn't know that the object once belonged to someone who had lost himself in the pursuit of power, and now it seemed to be waiting for another heart to test. Elden's closest friends, a strong blacksmith named Bram, a lively baker named Lira, and a young scholar named Merrin, soon noticed the changes in him. Elden began drifting away from their familiar gatherings, the nightly laughter, and even important events in the village. One afternoon, as the sun sank behind the hills and painted the sky in honey-colored gold, Merrin came to see him. He looked at Elden for a long moment, then spoke softly. "Elden, where has your mind been lately? You're standing here with us, but your heart feels like it's somewhere else." The question struck Elden like a pull back into reality. He suddenly realized he had begun losing the most important thing of all, the people who stood by him, whether he had any treasure or not. But Elden had no time to dive deeper into that thought, for trouble had already begun to form. Strange footprints appeared around the village. Whispers drifted from the forest and dark, watchful eyes glimmered from within the night. No one knew that the small metal object was awakening something ancient, something the world had once tried to forget. That night, Greenhill sank into an uncanny stillness, the kind of silence that doesn't bring peace, but instead makes one feel subtly watched. The sky was pitch black, the stars hidden behind thick layers of cloud, and the entire village lay under a somber, veiled hush. Inside a small house on the hillside, Elden sat before his old wooden table, fingers interlocked, eyes fixed on the small metal object that gleamed with a cold, distant light. He was no longer sure whether he was holding it or it was holding him. Since Merrin's question, Elden's heart had been unsettled. Simple memories, loud dinners with friends, long afternoons fixing tools with Bram, or the warm moments when Lira brought fresh bread to his door, kept flashing before him like reminders. Yet just a single glance at the small object was enough to blur everything again, as if an invisible hand was gently pulling his heart in another direction. Outside the window, a branch trembled softly. Elden flinched, turning his head sharply. He stood up, stepped closer to peer outside. Only darkness and unmoving trees greeted him. But Elden felt, without the slightest doubt, that he was not alone. Meanwhile, in the small tavern at the center of the village, Bram and Merrin were speaking under the warm golden glow of lantern light. "I told you," Bram growled. "There's something wrong around Elden. Whatever he found, it's not ordinary." Merrin nodded, his voice softer. "It's not just the object, it's the way he's changing. Elden has never hidden anything from us. Now it's like he'd rather lose himself than lose that thing." Bram tapped the wooden table firmly. "Tomorrow we talk to him, no more waiting." But neither of them knew that Elden had already started hearing strange sounds. At times, when he held the little object, he could hear someone whispering his name from far away. A thin, echoing voice with no shape, no face. A voice that reminded him of his oldest fears, his deepest insecurities, things humans bury even from themselves. The deeper the night grew, the less Elden could sleep. A sudden gust slammed the window against the wall. Elden jolted upright, heart pounding, scanning the room with wide eyes. Then his gaze dropped to the object in his hand. "What are you?" he whispered. And as if responding, a chilling wave ran down his spine. This was no longer imagination. Someone, or something, was drawing near. A soft noise rose outside, like footsteps brushing over dry leaves. Elden held his breath. Another sound, then another, 3 steps, then silence, right in front of his door. His heart hammered violently. He clutched the metal object inside his pocket, retreating slowly. Shadows shifted beyond the window. Suddenly, the wooden door rattled, as though someone were testing the handle. A faint scratching followed. "No," Elden whispered, stepping farther back, trembling. The door did not open, but a stretched, chilling whisper swept through the wind. "Return it." A sharp, rasping sound, like wind slicing through cracks in stone. Elden froze, breath lost. He moved forward just enough to bolt the door tighter, then backed away again, gripping his pocket as though it were his only shield. Morning came slowly. When the first rays touched Green Hill's rooftops, Elden looked years older. His face was pale, his eyes shadowed. He tried to convince himself that everything was just a dream. But the faint claw marks still etched on his door told another story. As he stepped outside, Bram was waiting, arms crossed, expression grim. "Elden, we need to talk." Elden sighed. "I think you're right." Bram and Merrin led him to the village's ancient oak, their meeting place whenever something truly serious happened. Lira was already there, worry clouding her eyes as she saw Elden's exhausted look. "Elden," Merrin began gently, "you're keeping something that doesn't belong to you, and it's changing you. Don't you see it?" Elden looked down. I know, but I don't know what to do. I just want to keep it safe." "Safe for who?" Lira asked, voice cracking slightly. "For it, or for yourself?" Elden remained silent. Then Bram spoke, each word heavy. "Elden, something was around your house last night. Half the village heard it. That thing isn't friendly, and it came for what you're holding." Elden stiffened. Before he could respond, a horrifying scream erupted from the forest, long, raw, and unmistakably inhuman. Birds burst from the treetops, scattering wildly. Wind swirled through the hills, carrying the scent of damp earth and a creeping dread. All 3 of Elden's friends snapped their heads toward the trees. "Not again," Merrin whispered. Elden glanced at his pocket. The metal object glowed faintly, like it had just awakened. In that moment, Elden understood. his peaceful life had ended. And on a morning that looked deceptively ordinary, Elden realized he had no choice. He had to leave Green Hill before the darkness drew any closer. His journey began here.
Early the next morning, Elden stood at the gates of Green Hill with his three closest friends, Bram, Lira, and Merrin. Dew still clung to the grass, weaving a thin, white veil over everything like a cold, fragile shawl. Yet beneath that morning quiet was a subtle shift, an unspoken sign that something new was waiting ahead. Elden tightened the small leather pouch at his side. The metal object inside radiated a faint warmth, as though silently urging him forward. He knew one thing for certain. Whatever it was, whatever secrets it held, he couldn't let it stay in Green Hill another night. Bram placed a firm, comforting hand on his shoulder. "You're not going alone. Whatever this thing is, whoever might be after it, we're with you." Lira gave a soft smile, though her eyes shimmered with worry. "We'll find a way to break its power. We'll find someone who knows how." Merrin adjusted the strap of his satchel. "I studied the carvings on its surface again last night. Those symbols, they don't belong to our era. We need to reach Greyford, the oldest and largest library in the region. The scholars there may know its origins." Elden nodded. His heart tightened with fear, yet a warm spark glowed within him as he looked at his friends. "Thank you, all of you." And so they left Green Hill behind. The Elder Grove forest stretched for miles, filled with colossal ancient trees so tall that sunlight rarely touched the ground beneath. Entering it felt like stepping into another world, silent, deep, and breathing with something impossibly old. "We need to cross this before sunset," Merrin warned. Leaves rustled beneath their feet, blending with the wind, sliding through the lofty canopy. But every so often, the sounds fell away entirely, leaving behind a silence so absolute it sent chills crawling over the skin. Elden felt the object in his pouch twitch lightly, as though it too sensed something. Lira leaned toward Bram, whispering, "Do you feel like we're being watched?" Bram tightened his grip on the blacksmith hammer he carried. "I've felt it since the moment we stepped into this forest." Elden tried to remain calm, but strange noises grew clearer from deep within the woods. Snapping twigs, rustling leaves that sounded more like breath than wind. Then suddenly, from far off, a low, drawn-out howl echoed, each note stretched as though calling to something unseen. Lira gasped. "What was that, a wolf?" Merrin shook his head. "No wolf sounds like that. I've never heard anything like it in nature." The object in Elden's pouch began to heat up. His heartbeat quickened. Sweat collected on his palms. "Run!" Bram shouted, pulling everyone forward. "It's getting closer!" The group dashed through towering brush, vaulting over tangled roots thick as ancient bones. Heavy footsteps, nothing like the rhythm of natural creatures, thudded behind them, drawing nearer with alarming speed. "This is bad," Lira cried. Elden glanced back. In the dimness between the massive trees, he saw two glowing points of light, eyes fixed on them. A massive dark shape moved in unnerving silence, its weight causing the earth itself to tremble. "Just keep running," Elden shouted. Bram yanked Elden toward a narrow crevice between stone cliffs. The group slipped through just in time before a thunderous roar erupted behind them, shaking loose rocks from above. "Go, now!" Merrin yelled. They ran until their lungs burned, until the forest finally thinned, and the faint glow of late afternoon light pierced through. When they reached the edge of Elder Grove, they collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath. Elden trembled as he opened his pouch. The metal object glowed faintly, as if issuing a warning. Merrin spread an old map across the dirt. That thing didn't chase us by accident. It's tracking this object. Lira fixed her gaze on Elden, voice soft but firm. Elden, do you know why it wants it? Elden shook his head. I don't know anything, except that it calls to me. Bram exhaled heavily. Then we need someone who does know. Greyford is our only hope. As dusk drew near, the group set up camp beside a low cliff, sheltered from the biting wind. The fire crackled, its warm glow revealing tired, worried faces. Elden sat a little apart, studying the metal object under the flames. The symbols carved into it seemed to shift and writhe, changing with every angle. A faint whisper drifted through his mind. Closer, closer. He pressed a hand to his chest, trying to steady his breathing. Lira approached and sat beside him. Elden, what do you think awaits us out there? Elden stared into the fire, its flickering light dancing like the heartbeat of the earth. I don't know, but I fear this thing will test us more than we imagined. Lira placed a gentle hand over his. Her eyes held unwavering resolve. Whatever it is, we're with you. Don't forget that. Elden managed a tired smile. Night fell, the wind whispering through the nearby shrubs. But no one in the group knew that far above them, on a distant hill, a cloaked figure in dark robes was watching. And the creature in the forest was not the only one searching for them. The journey ahead was long, and the darkness had only just begun to shift in their direction. Dawn came slower than usual. The first line of sunlight was nothing more than a thin stroke across the sky, as if even the sun hesitated to enter a land holding secrets that Elden and his friends were about to face. Dew clung to the grass, shimmering like fragments of an unfinished dream. Elden woke with a strange sensation. The metal object in his pocket was ice cold, completely different from the warmth it carried through the night. It felt as though it were preparing for something, or warning him. Bram was tending the fire, Merrin was checking maps and notes, and Lira was preparing a simple breakfast. No one spoke much. They all sensed that something waited on the other side of the ridge. When the fog lifted, the group continued toward Greyford, only a day's journey away, according to Merrin. But the closer they came to the ancient city, the stranger the land grew. Split boulders, trees snapped in unnatural ways, and soil overturned as if by some enormous force. What happened here? Lira whispered. No one answered. Bram, walking ahead, suddenly lifted a hand. Everyone ducked behind a large rock. Someone's up there, he murmured. Elden squinted toward the low hill. A dark-cloaked figure stood motionless at its peak, as unmoving as a carved monument. Wind tugged at the hem of the cloak, yet the figure didn't shift at all. Merrin narrowed his eyes. I've seen that silhouette back in the forest. But how? A person or something else? Lira whispered. I don't know, Merrin said quietly. Bram placed a hand on the handle of his hammer. If it wants a fight, we'll be ready. But Elden felt something different, something pulling him forward, not from the object in his pocket, but from the figure itself. A strange familiarity, a distant ache, a sadness that didn't belong to a stranger. Bram blocked him with an arm. What are you doing? I don't think he's here to attack, Elden murmured. Bram frowned deeply, but Lira gently said, "Let Elden try, we'll stay close behind." Elden stepped out from behind the rock. Each footstep crunched softly against the dirt. As he approached, the cloaked figure spoke in a hoarse voice, weathered, as though scraped by years of wandering wind. "You've brought it." Elden stopped. "You know what this is?" The figure nodded faintly. "I've spent half my life searching for it, and it's what turned me into the thing you see now." Lira drew a sharp breath. Merrin blinked in disbelief. "You possessed it before?" Merrin asked. "No," the figure replied, "but I was chosen by it." Elden's throat tightened. "Chosen?" The figure took a few steps closer. Elden could now see the eyes beneath the hood, tired, ancient, filled with stories that had never been spoken. "The object you carry," he said, "is not a treasure. It is the key to a door that was never meant to be opened. It doesn't search for a master, only for a vulnerable heart." The group fell silent. Bram asked, "So Elden's in danger?" A sad smile crossed the stranger's face. "Anyone who carries it is. Its power doesn't show through light or magic. It shows through your deepest longing." The words struck Elden like thunder. The stranger continued, "It was created centuries ago by those who craved power beyond reason. They wanted an object that could amplify whatever lay in the heart of its holder, good or bad. But most who carried it were consumed by hidden fears, buried desires, or ambition they never admitted aloud." Elden clenched his trembling hands. "I'm just a craftsman. I don't have any great ambition." "You don't need great ambition," the stranger said softly. "Only a gap in the heart. It fills whatever space you leave open." The words cut Elden deeply. Lonely nights, quiet wishes, unspoken regrets, small insecurities he never dared share. "What do I have to do?" Elden asked weakly. "You must take it to Nadir Tower," the stranger said. "It can be sealed there once more. But the journey is dangerous, and whatever is tracking you will not stop." "The creature in the forest?" Bram asked. "Yes," the stranger replied. "It was once like you, a bearer of the object. Now it is only a hollow remnant. It can sense the object's presence." Lira shuddered. Merrin stepped forward. "And who are you? Why help us?" The stranger lowered his head. "I was once like Elden. I believed I could hold it without losing myself. I was wrong. Helping you is the last piece of humanity I still possess." Elden stared at the man for a long moment. For the first time, he truly understood the meaning behind the old saying, "Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." He realized with horror, his heart had already begun drifting, away from Greenhill, away from his friends, away from himself, from the moment he touched the object. "I'll go," Elden said firmly, surprising even himself. "I'll take it to Nadir Tower." Bram clapped a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We're going with you." "And I am too." "As I too," Lira added, eyes steady. "Count me in," Merrin said. The stranger looked at them with a mix of hope and sorrow. The path ahead is perilous, but if anyone can do this, it's those who place their hearts in the right place. Elden looked at his friends, familiar faces, steadfast and unwavering. He placed his hand over the freezing object in his pocket. "My heart is with them," Elden whispered, "not with this thing." The stranger smiled for the first time. But the moment shattered instantly. A thunderous roar boomed across the hills. Elden spun around. "It's coming." The stranger drew a slender blade, its metal glinting like a shard of dawn. "We're out of time. Go now." And so the four friends, with the mysterious stranger beside them, began their final approach to Greyford, toward the truth, and toward a challenge none of them had imagined. But Elden knew one thing for certain. This time, he would not let the object guide his heart. He would choose for himself. The road to Greyford stretched across windswept hills where thin layers of mist shifted with each step Elden and his friends took. But this time, fear was no longer the only thing following them. Woven into it was determination, the kind that only appears when people know exactly what they are protecting. In the distance, the towers of Greyford slowly rose into view, like ancient pillars carved by time itself. But the one that stood out the most was Nadir Tower, a soaring spire at the edge of the city, reaching for the sky as if trying to pierce the clouds. It was the only place capable of sealing the metal object and ending the shadow that had clung to Elden. The five travelers reached the base of the tower as dusk began to settle. Wind roared through the cracks in the stone, carrying the echoes of stories long buried. The cloaked man placed his hand on the cold surface of the door and muttered old words, vibrations thick with age and sorrow. The door split open, releasing a dim blue glow, like the breath of a world that had been asleep for centuries. "Let's go," he said. Inside, Nadir Tower opened into a vast circular chamber, its ceiling vanishing into shadow above. At the center stood an ancient stone pedestal, etched with the same shifting symbols found on the metal object. Elden stepped forward, his hands trembling. "I only need to place it here, right?" "Yes," the cloaked man replied, "but remember, the moment you let go, it will try to hold on to you one last time." Elden drew a deep breath. Slowly, he pulled the object from his pocket. As it touched the tower's light, its surface brightened, spiraling into silver rings like a tiny storm awakening. And in that moment, Elden heard it, clearer than ever before. "Don't leave me. I can give you everything you lack." But he was no longer the doubtful man he had been days ago. He looked at Bram, Lira, and Merrin, friends who had risked their lives for him. He looked at the cloaked man, a living testament to the cost of losing oneself. Elden whispered to the voice, "I lack nothing. I only forgot what truly matters." With a steady hand, strengthened by everything he now understood, Elden placed the object onto the pedestal. Light erupted, so bright the group had to step back. The symbols on the pedestal glowed fiercely, twisting and tightening like invisible chains drawing closed. Then a soft crack, not destruction, but release. Silence followed. Elden opened his eyes. The pedestal dimmed, and the object was gone, vanished as if it had never existed. His chest felt unbelievably light, as though a weight he had carried all his life had been lifted. The cloaked man looked at him, relief softening his weary eyes. "You have done what I could not. Thank you." Bram wrapped an arm around Elden's shoulders. "Let's go home." Lira smiled, tears shimmering. "Greenhill is waiting." Merrin folded his map, excitement bright in his voice. "I'm writing all of this down, but something tells me no one will believe it." Elden laughed, a warm, living sound that echoed through the cold, empty chamber like a spark of human light. He placed a hand over his heart. It was warm, light, free. For the first time, he felt it clearly. His heart had returned to the place it truly belonged.